What is up, YouTube? It's boy Milsey, my hometown commander. Back for another episode of $50 Upgrades, the show where I upgrade the Precon in question and give you what I would do with $50 to upgrade the Precon. Today we are going through Modern Horizons 3 Precons, and we are talking about Graveyard Overdrive, aka Jund Goyfs. This deck is very interesting. It is headed up by Disa the Restless, a 5-mana 5/6 human scout. It says whenever a Lurgoyf permanent is put into your graveyard from anywhere within the battlefield, we put it onto the battlefield. Whenever one of our creatures we control do combat damage to a player, we create a Tarmogoyf token. I never thought Tarmogoyf would be a token or that a deck would care about Lurgoyfs, but here we are. This deck is a ton of fun. If you're looking for my regular brew for the deck with more of a budget, that is up on the channel now and will be in the description down below. Let's get into it. $50 to spend to upgrade the deck. Let's do it. We're adding a pair of removal in Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy. I think the deck is kind of lacking some removal. Abrupt Decay can hit anything, non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. This is going to hit a lot of mana rocks, a lot of cheap creatures and things like that. Assassin's Trophy can hit any permanent, and their opponent gets a basic land for it, but can be very good removal, especially on anything. Big Score is going to help us get the Lurgoyfs in our hand, into our graveyard to get them back with Disa instead of having to cast them. And we also could just get the privilege of drawing 2 and making 2 treasures for it. I think this discard is really important to think about because not every Lurgoyf we're going to be able to mill ourselves. So we need another way to get them into the graveyard, and I think Big Score is one way to do that. Bloodline Pretender is a shapeshifter, so it is a Lurgoyf, but it's going to get bigger for each Lurgoyf that comes in, making it a threat to our opponents. Breach the Multiverse is a really fun black finisher. Really great for the deck for 2 reasons. For each player, they're going to mill 10 and we get a creature or planeswalker from their graveyard back to the battlefield. This can get a lot of really fun creatures. But the cool part about Breach is, with Disa out, we don't have to pick any of the Lurgoyfs we mill because they're immediately going to come back from a Disa's ability. So we get to pick another creature that we really want, get it back, and then get all of our Lurgoyfs that came this way back. Or if we had one that, got destroyed and was in the graveyard, well, it can come back this way too. Buried Alive seems like a literal slam dunk with Disa. You pick your library for 3 creature cards and put them in your graveyard and shuffle. With Disa out, this is pick 3 Lurgoyfs and they come out of the battlefield. This is really great, especially if you can give them haste in a lot of ways or anything like that. What I would probably do in most scenarios is, if you don't already have a way to give haste on the battlefield, I would go put like Anger and 2 Lurgoyfs into your graveyard, bring the Lurgoyfs back, and now congratulations, all your creatures have haste. If you already have a haste enabler, well, go get 3 Lurgoyfs. I think this card is, I know why it wasn't in the Precon because it was in the main set, but like, it probably deserved to be, and it's probably one of the easiest adds I can think of. Chainer allows us a way to get cards back from our graveyard by casting them. And then the second ability is really great. Whenever a non-token creature ETBs under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gets haste, meaning all of those Lurgoyfs coming back from our graveyard get haste. And that is so cool. I think it works so well for what we're trying to do anyway, especially when we're trying to get them in our graveyard and get them back. Conspiracy lets us choose a creature type. Obviously, we're going to pick Lurgoyfs. Creature codes we are on that aren't in play or we control or cast are Lurgoyfs, meaning that every creature in our deck is going to be able to come back out of the graveyard. We did add a pair of 2 battles. The reason is because it's another creature type or a card type, and we want to make sure we get as many as they can for those Tarmogoyf tokens. We have Invasion of Urgamon, which creates a treasure, and then we can discard and draw on the front of that one. And then we added Invasion of Zendikar for a little bit of a ramp. Again, the point is that if they get milled into our graveyard, they're another card type that can then add another power and toughness to all of our Goyfs. If not, they're just great cards in their own right. Life from the Loam is like one of the best mill plans we could get. Dredge is such a fun ability, allowing you, especially for Life from the Loam, to cast it to return some lands back to your hand. Next time you would draw, you can mill 3 and put Life from the Loam back into your hand. Hopefully we mill some Goyfs and we get them back. And then you just cast Life from the Loam, getting at least 1 land from your graveyard back to your hand. And you can just do that process over and over again. A great way to just continue to mill through cards and get Goyfs into the graveyard so that we can get them back that way. Turian Mauler just makes a ton of sense. It is a changeling, so it is a Goyf in itself. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger as your opponents cast spells and becomes a threat in its own right. Terravor is a Lurgoyf, star, where stars the number of lands in all graveyards, so not as good as the Tarmogoyf tokens and the other Goyfs, but a Goyf nonetheless, and so we want to add it. Torture Existence is a card I really like for this deck. You pay a black and choose and discard a creature card. If you do, you bring a creature card from your graveyard back to your hand. This is a really cool way to get a Goyf from your graveyard, maybe that's already been destroyed or something, back into your hand to use it for another effect. Or we can pitch a Goyf this way to just get any other creature from our graveyard back into our library, maybe one that we milled that isn't a Goyf, so we weren't able to get it back. And hey, it comes back to our hand, and we can use it again. Unearth lets you reanimate a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Almost every single Goyf in our deck has 3 or less, meaning that Unearth is effectively a copy of Reanimate for us that's got almost, no downside. And we love it. It's exactly what we want here, so that when those Goyfs die, we can bring them back. Unexpected Windfall, pairing with that big score we talked about earlier, pitch a card, draw 2, make 2 treasures. It, again, makes it a lot better when you can pitch a Goyf and get it back with Disa. Woodland Changeling, just another Goyf in the deck. Not as good, of course, because it's a 2/2, so you lose a little bit of the scaling effect of the Goyfs, but it is a Goyf, and that is important for other abilities. And then Ren and Realmbreaker, adding another Planeswalker to the Precon. Lets all of our lands tap for mana of any color. The -2 mills 3 and put a permanent from among the milled cards back into our hand. This is great, so if we mill 3 non-Goyfs, at least we can still get something back. And then once we get to -7, if we want to go that way, we can just play lands and cast spells, permanent spells from our graveyard, which is a great ability as well. Those are my pick for the, I believe, 18 cards I would add to the Precon. This is the list of the 18 that I would personally take out, or that I chose to take out for my video today. I'm not saying that these are the 18 cards you should take out. I think you should look at the deck and kind of tailor the deck to what you want it. But if you're interested to see my version of the deck with the cuts and adds I made, that link to the deck list is going to be down in the description below. As far as these 18 cards that I took out, I always like to mention 1 or 2 that I would probably put back in. Maybe they got taken out for a reason or 2, but they are still really important. I have always liked Maelstrom Pulse as a removal spell. It's tough in some games because you just gotta... Are you always going to hit a game where Maelstrom Pulse is going to be able to hit a lot of tokens? Then that's great. But if not, Maelstrom Pulse can always feel dead. And that's why I took it out for Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay. 2 cards that I think hit way more things. The second is... Burnish Heart. It's a way to get some ramp. Sacrifice it goes to the graveyard, and it gets you to ramp for some lands. That's a creature card that you can get in your graveyard, just another creature, another card type. Nothing else in the deck I thought was, that much. I took the Talismans out because I think we're good on the ramp with the other ramp that we have. But, if you're worried about that, you could leave those Talismans in. But let me know, what do you think of my changes down in the comment section below? I really love to hear what you think. What are you cutting? What are you adding to your Graveyard Overdrive Precon? And I will catch you guys next time.